Hi, I'm Mark Hickler. What you've just heard is the first production model of the Hickler Standard Frailer, serial number 001, a moderately priced handmade banjo with American-made hardware and domestic hardwoods. This banjo retails for $950. Before I get into the specifics of this banjo, let me list some of my accomplishments. I'm not doing this to boast, but so that you might trust me and my products. I went into banjo making full-time about 10 years ago. I focused my attention on the potential of block rims with dense hardwood tone rings. I documented my findings on my website for all to see and hear. Along the way, I developed the partial internal resonator, which rounds out the tone of almost any banjo. And I've built over 200 banjos using this type of resonator. If you go to the Musical Instrument Museum here in Phoenix, you will see one of my banjos on display, commissioned for the Arizona Centennial Celebration. It features Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, a tribute to the art of Chuck Jones. After the centennial, the museum bought my banjo for their permanent collection. But the accomplishment that means the most to me is this banjo here that I'm holding in my hands. Because I've wanted for a long time to offer a frailing banjo with all the standard features you'd want and hope for, with quality hardware, but without breaking the bank. So let's get into the specifics of all my choices in this design here. Start with the wood I chose for the banjo is cherry. The neck is one-piece cherry neck. The rim is all cherry. Cherry is wonderful because it looks great without stain, and I've chosen to finish it in a matte finish, not matte, a semi-gloss finish, or satin, whatever you want to call it. And this finish is easy to apply, as opposed to gloss lacquer finishes, which can take up to 2 weeks. So the fingerboard is a man-made material called Richlight. And to the casual observer, you would not be able to tell this from ebony. And the fact is that the resources of ebony are under duress, and the price of ebony goes up every year and the quality goes down every year. It's inevitable that instrument makers start using something like Richlight. I've chosen a very classic pattern of pearl. We've got 2 stars and dots. My peghead shape is sort of reminiscent of late 19th century banjos. I've got a compensated bridge. This, by the way, is a thin line armrest, and it's not standard equipment. Just the customer that bought this banjo wanted it installed, so I did. Looks really cool. This is curly cherry. And the tuners are Waverly tuners, which, in my opinion, are the best tuners available. This 5th string peg is different from your standard 5th string peg in that it doesn't have the vertical capstan, and you'll notice when you string it up that the string gets tension right away instead of having to wind it and wind it and wind it. So I really love Waverly tuners. They're American made. All the rim hardware, the tailpiece, the brackets, the shoes, everything is from the Balsam Banjo Company, all made in America. One really revolutionary thing about this banjo is it has no dowel and it has no coordinator rods. It turns out that the internal resonator makes the rim rigid enough that it can stand up to string tension without flexing. And this allowed me to create a bolt-on neck, which can be adjusted with an Allen wrench. So you could literally in a few minutes. Loosen 2 bolts inside the banjo rim and put the action where you want it and tighten it up. It's marvelous. There's a couple of other advantages to this arrangement. One would be if you chose to use a natural skin, if the weather was changing the head tension, you could adjust your action very quickly, and you wouldn't have to mess with retensioning the head. Another possibility is you can take the banjo apart in a couple minutes, throw it in a suitcase, and travel with it. You know, if the action is wrong on a banjo, it's really hard to play. And adjusting action on a banjo can be really difficult and time-consuming if you don't have the advantage of the bolt-on neck. And it puts you in a position to have to rely on a luthier. Maybe you don't know the luthiers in your area, you're not comfortable. It's sort of like taking your car to a car mechanic. You never really know what's going on, and you never feel that comfortable. But the nice thing is this puts you in control. It gives you the power to adjust your own action. So, in summary, I'm really excited about this banjo. I really want to put it in your hands, and I think it's a great value. Hi again. I realized after reviewing the first part of my video that I didn't explain a couple of things sufficiently. First of all, I said the rim was all cherry. My rims are going to have a dense hardwood at the leading edge. The banjo that I recorded is got, I don't know if you can see it, see that slight red there? That's Paduke. So I cheated a little bit by using an African hardwood, but the next banjo is going to have mesquite, which is of course domestic, grows in the Southwest, right around in my neighborhood. Also, to understand the bolt-on neck, the rim has a slot, the bolts go through, and they meet up with a threaded insert on the in the heel of the neck. And I also forgot to mention that I'm using a Dobson style heel, and I think it's really appropriate for this look, but also happens to save time in production. So these are a couple of design decisions I had to make in order to keep the price where it is. Thanks, and hope to be hearing from you.